Welcome to a new episode of Art Matters. I'm your host, Wayne Quackenbush, and I'll be interviewing two artists today. The first one is an old friend of mine, Nico Ecenarro. Welcome to the show, Nico.
Hi.
And we've known each other for since you were a very small child, I guess, and so, you know, a decade or so ago.
More.
So thank you for coming on, and I know that you've been an avid, you've had avid interest in art since you were at least 10 years old, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of creatives, it's as early as I can remember, right? Like 3 years old, drawing on the hamper. Right?
But you were like way into comic books and
Yeah.
Storytelling and drawing, and obviously you started as a kid, and then you went on to art school.
Yes, yeah. So I was in art school originally, and it was a lot of, my focus was printmaking. A lot of times there was something about seeing an image replicated 50 times that just really captured me. I also felt like I had a little more freedom to do whatever art I wanted in printmaking.
Yeah.
Rather than the illustration program or any other graphic design or something. But yeah, so that's what I was in school for.
Well, there's also something magical about printmaking because you basically build things in separate colors, and it's astonishing to see it all come together at the
Oh
end.
yeah, those layers, yeah.
Well, not to belabor it, but I remember doing lithography and the different ways that you could approach it, and the different.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I did a lot of acid, and just, I don't know,
You
copper
can't just
plates.
say I did a lot of acid.
Like
connotations.
acid plates, and like doing plates, copper plates, and etching, a lot of etching, I should say, with the acid baths and like that stuff. I don't know if it was just the line work or, again, just the stuff you could create with it.
Sure.
Just 5 minutes compared to 15 minutes. And like
because
getting
you would
textures.
get different line weights and thicknesses, and depending on how long the thing was there. And all that gum Arabic stuff. I mean. Oof.
Yeah. But that's where I started. Really.
So about 10 years ago, I remember that you were one of the avid participants in the drawing sessions I used to host.
Yep.
And did you ever participate in any of the publications back then?
I didn't.
No.
I did 24-hour comic a lot.
Yeah,
and then
we were talking about doing that H.P. Lovecraft book many years ago.
Yeah.
But you continued to persevere and draw, and you did some cartooning, right?
Yep. I used to do a regular illustration in the Mercury. There was an article that would run there.
Back when that was print, right?
Yep.
Obviously.
Yes. Yeah, when it was in print. What else did I do? I mean, I went into a lot of different realms, and
you were honing your skills, though.
Absolutely.
You keep getting better and better.
I think it's funny that you said persevere too, because that's, I said it before to someone. That's like the number one skill of an illustrator, is perseverance and just continue to go.
Well, it's that ham and egg. They used to call them ham and eggers, the people that just drew and drew and drew, and you basically get chained to your drawing board, and you can't help but get better. Right?
Yeah.
And you get more insights the more you do it, and you feel more accomplished, hopefully.
Yeah.
And everybody likes your stuff, hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but I mean, it really does just take the time and the work, right? It's just doing it. And
you mentioned that you changed your major because you were scared of being, because being an art major has, even more now than then, it has a terrible connotation of being, this is a useless endeavor, and it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
If you're learning about art, you're learning about life, and you're learning about perception, and you're learning about how to see. I mean, how can that be useless? But that's another point.
That is. Yeah, no, I did change majors. Like, I actually have my degree in English, like literary studies. Not, I don't know if that's
Just a
any
little
more
bit
useful.
down
Yeah.
from being more useless than an art major.
Really, seriously.
Like me putting my BFA to work.
Yeah, but you start art school and like professors start telling you half of you are going to drop out, and then
That's what they do.
and then like the other,
God
half
forbid they're going to
quarter of
help
them.
you get a job because you're going to put them out of work.
It was a different time. I hope it's changed now, but yeah. And like then they would say even quarter of you are going to be professors or teaching, and
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to draw,
Yeah, of course.
and so I switched and ran from it. I also started a family young, but with all of that, you learn, the timetable in life is like self-imposed.
Yes.
There's nothing, me publishing my first book is, something that could be done at any age.
Well, speaking
So-
of which, we got to get to showing some stuff off.
That's all right, yeah.
So how do you want to start?
Yeah, let's do the book.
Yeah.
Why not?
Show the book, right?
Yeah.
Hold it perpendicularly so Brandon can focus in on it. And
Yeah, so this is Brewmates, a brewing boundary battle. And yeah, it just recently was released and is out now. But it was a lot of work, short deadline too for publishing.
well, by short deadline, what do you mean?
Yeah, I signed the contract for it last July. And
So,
then,
well, just over a year.
yeah, and so it was, there's a lot of time for printing and printing overseas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cost
So
effective.
did you had the concept down before you signed the contract?
No, so I'm the illustrator on it only.
Oh, I see.
There's other authors.
I didn't realize that you were an author. You weren't writing it as well.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm seeing it in real life.
No, I know, yeah. So the two authors, a small publisher. I have an agent, and I've had an agent going on maybe like a year and a half, 2 years.
Nice.
They were shopping around a manuscript of mine about a spider or something, and a publisher saw my art and really was interested and asked if I'd do another book or a different book or someone else's story, and so I got this manuscript and loved it immediately.
Yeah,
And-
show us some
yeah,
stuff
let's
and
start
tell
off
us a
with
little bit about the story. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I was working with a small publisher, so luckily I got a lot of freedom to do. You actually find out in the kidlit world, you get a lot of freedom and art choices.
Oh, sure, of course.
And then working with an editor, you go through a sketch phase, so there's character sketches.
So these two are the main characters,
Yeah, so they're two
Matilda and
Malin.
Malin.
Yeah, they're two twin witch sisters that one prefers color and the other one is more gloom
goth.
and goth. Yeah, I wanted to give her like Doc Martens and
You don't want to give it the whole story away, but yeah.
yeah. So it was a lot.
We don't get any glare.
But yeah, just going through character sketches, character designs, notes on that, adjusting them.
It looks like they're arguing because of their different perceptions.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they have to share a broom and a room is the story basically.
Oh, okay. So
and so
roommates. Yep.
they're trying to decorate their new bedroom and they disagree in what they do. There they are, right?
Oh, yeah, they're at each other. Yep. I get it.
Yeah. And they're just
Is-
constantly at
is
each other's
that a
throats.
parent?
Yes, that's their mummy.
The mummy.
Yeah.
Of course, because she's a mummy witch lady.
Yeah, they wrote it that way, and I thought let me try, she'd still be a witch, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'll just do another page here. But maybe even like, yeah.
It's just gorgeous. The colors are amazing. They did a
Thank
great
you.
job with the printing, too.
Yeah, they really did. I had gotten a review on it from a pretty substantial site, and they ended up. Someone had written that my punk hues were like electrifying, and I was like, for the first time, I felt seen. I was like,
I mean, I just am very impressed because, you know, having a stepdaughter in her early 20s and then seeing her friends and people I work with who are that age, it's just like those colors are just spot on. It's like, this is almost like a time capsule. People will be looking on this back in 10 years like, oh man, I remember when those colors were just amazing and just the best.
Yeah, so.
Because it's almost in a way that the 80s have come back, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Because of the neon and everything, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also the aspect of pastels, so it's kind of like day glow and pastel together. It's sort of all the kids are into this stuff now.
Yeah, I know. Everything I see, I'm like, I've seen that before.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's just like, you know, being an oldster, the 70s, the 60s and 70s have never gone away, and everything just gets recycled again. There's a theory that the time ended at 2000, and then everything is just going to be the same over until forever and ever now.
I believe it.
So you want to show us some other stuff?
Yeah.
While we have a few minutes left?
Yeah, this is a zine I created, again, before getting the book deal, and I just felt like with illustration, you really have to, it's a narrative, you know?
Yeah.
It's not decorative art. I'm not a painter, and so I felt like a good project would be to sort of create this story.
Well, it's storytelling, and then again, it shows your comic book background, your interest in that, and then again, the hotness of it. Good Lord, the colors are amazing.
Thank you, yeah. This is actually a Riso print. It's, you know about Riso prints? It's
no, I don't know.
Oh, they're these Japanese photocopiers, basically, but their colors are separated into one colors.
Oh, really?
And so you have to like kind of separate and put in, some machines run 2 or 3 colors, but you still have to pull them out, and they're all spot colored, and so this was done. It's all soy-based inks too, so it's it's really nice.
Okay, that's good to know. See, I learn stuff all the time.
Yeah.
That green is it's very popular in the medical field.
Yeah. Yes. Like I'm a sucker for teal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and a lot of my stuff, I mean, even that last one, you can even tell, like, or, you know, I'm heavily influenced with animation stuff. Like all my stuff reeks of 90s cartoons.
Yeah. I mean, not that I'm an expert on 90s cartoons, but things like Ren and Stimpy come to mind.
Ren and Stimpy, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, even. Yeah. Stuff like that. That just.
SpongeBob.
Really, maybe it was just after, but I think I might be too edge old. But yeah, so zines, stickers. I would tell anyone create. Like, just start making stuff.
Yeah. And it's so easy to make your own zine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just have to work with a printer, your own printer on a
Sharpie
computer.
and a photocopier. Yeah.
That's all it
Absolutely.
takes. I mean,
even.
We used to have to go into people's places of business in the 80s and get stuff printed, and then I'd have my friends hand collate stuff.
Yeah, we might have a bad glare, but...
No, that's good. If you keep it vertical, I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks great.
This I just did past couple days. Again, a sticker I'm going to be doing.
Is that it? Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, this is great.
Yeah. And so I'm just always trying to tell a story, even in a single image.
Sure.
And I do a lot of character design stuff.
Yep. We're running out of time now, so
yeah.
I'm going to let you flip through a couple, and then I'm going to say thank you very much for coming by.
Yeah,
it was great to see you again because it's been a while. And thanks for coming on the show.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. All right, we're here with our second artist, Leon Manoukian. Welcome to the show, Leon.
Thank you for having me.
And we met a few months ago at an opening at the Common Fence Point Community Center. We had some artists there, and you were asking about showing your artwork. Now, can you tell me how you, well, not how you got interested, but how you proceeded to develop the craft of painting that you do now?
Yeah. Actually, if my earliest recollection, I think every artist will tell you that they grew up with a pencil in their hand. Mm-hmm. And I was no exception to that. I just remember as a child having a keen interest in drawing all the time. And in fact, one of my earliest memories is being reprimanded by my third grade teacher for drawing trucks when I should have been singing. Okay. And I received 10 slaps on the hand with the ruler for that.
Oh, yeah.
So as a child, I was, sketching whatever I could find and see. And then as time went on, the next, I think, memory that was a transitional point for me was when I was about 14 years old. Mm-hmm. It was a rainy Saturday night, and none of my friends were available to do anything with, so I was stuck at home. And I said, well, what am I going to do with myself? So I went into my parents' attic, where was my space at the time, and I found a postcard of the Moulin Rouge in Paris. And I had a set of watercolors with maybe 9 or 10 watercolors in it. So I said, why don't I attempt to paint this watercolor of the Moulin Rouge? And I did, and it sat, for a few weeks, and then friends of my family happened to come by, mm-hmm. and they came for dinner, and she saw the artwork, and she said, wow, Leon, did you do that? That's terrific. She said, you should try oils. Uh-huh. And I said, yeah, sure, I think maybe someday I will. And I forgot about it for a few weeks. Then about a month went by, and she called and said, Leon, have you done anything yet with oils? I said, no. She said, listen, there's a sale going on right now at Jordan Marsh. In those days, I guess Jordan Marsh sold oil paint. So my father and I went, and we bought my first set of brushes, oils, and everything I needed to get started with oils.
So you had this encouragement and small acclaim, and that kind of led you. Now, those years, those teenage years, you said you were very prolific and avid.
Yeah. So what happened is once I started painting, I developed an interest in art in general. And before going to bed every night, I would take out books from the library of Rembrandt, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. Mm-hmm. And before going to sleep each evening, I would look at their work and admire their work. And for some reason, I was just drawn to that period in history, the Renaissance, early Renaissance, and the classic old master paintings. I don't know why that was, but that was the case. Now, around the same time, so I started painting and dabbling at 16, 17 years old. And at the same time, there was an artist who had emigrated from Soviet Armenia to the Boston area. Mm-hmm. And he was offering classes. And I happened to see a few of his works, and again, I was awed by the quality and the craftsmanship.
You said one of your neighbors was collecting some of it?
Exactly. Yeah. What happened again? There were another friend of the family was collecting a few of the works of this artist. And when I saw his paintings, again, I was impressed, and that further, I think, inspired me to want to paint in a particular classical style.
Right.
Now, I wouldn't
before
say,
we go further, though, you've rekindled that interest in the present. Let's just say you're still very much influenced by the Renaissance, right? Do you want to start showing some of your work? I know you had some in chronological order, right?
Yes, actually, what I'd like to do is I brought some of my early pieces.
Sure.
And when I began painting, I thought the way of the old masters was to copy the work of the old masters.
Right.
So that's what I would do. And
but
I brought some of my...
Copy them without really knowing how they achieved their effects, right?
I had no idea about the technical aspects.
Yeah.
Obviously. all I could do was look at a photograph in a book and try to replicate what I saw.
So you're trying to match colors and just applying the colors to a raw canvas,
Exactly.
that kind of thing?
Exactly.
Sure.
And this was a copy of a painting by Rembrandt at 23, a self-portrait of Rembrandt at 23.
Right.
So I believe I was around 16 or 17 when I painted this.
Yeah, I see that, sure. And you've got the sepia or the umber tones. Rembrandt probably would have been a little bit more ochre, possibly. So yeah, I mean, I can see. Yeah, I mean, it's a youthful attempt and very effective.
Thank you. I think the thing too about that particular style that impressed me was the use of chiaroscuro
Right.
and sfumato.
Now we'll talk about chiaroscuro. That's the light and dark, giving you the modeling effect to create a dimensionality, right?
Exactly. It was the contrast and the juxtaposition of the dark and the light.
Right.
And Rembrandt was a perfect example of that. He utilized that effect quite often.
And what was the other term?
And the
you
other
just
term
used?
was the sfumato, which was done by Leonardo da Vinci, where everything, as we look at a piece of art, all the edges are blurred.
Right.
There are no hard edges in any of the paintings.
Right.
And that was...
You want to probably switch out paintings so we
Sure.
can keep things moving.
Sure. By the way, the painting behind me was another example of
We can
an
talk
early
about
painting.
that, sure.
Yep. This obviously is a copy of Velázquez's Juan de Perea, who was his indentured servant, but he was eventually liberated by Velázquez. And what I've heard is that he painted this painting as a preparatory painting before he painted the Pope. So he did this very quickly, but it's become a very well-known painting.
Oh, sure, of course.
And it was something that impressed me in my late teens.
And this is something that you were just matching colors and then putting the colors down and not really knowing how the effects were achieved, but you emulated them as best you could.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so that pretty much, I have one other drawing here of, okay, we don't have it because I believe it was left here. But
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, so now, as I got older, a few years, I also developed an interest in architecture in my high school years.
Right.
So it was time to apply to college. And I applied to Boston University as a painting major because I was heavily getting into painting by that time, by senior year in high school. But I also had a keen interest in architecture, and I applied to Rhode Island School of Design as an architect. And I was blessed enough to get into both schools. And I decided that I would pursue a career in architecture.
Yes.
So once I began my academic years, painting went by the wayside. I just didn't have any time during college to paint. And having delved deeply into architecture, that consumed all my time.
And then the years go by, and you have an opportunity when?
It took a 45-year hiatus.
But during the
from
pandemic,
painting.
is that
And
not
all of a
right?
sudden, the pandemic came around.
Yep. Now let's keep showing some artwork.
And
'cause
so during those years, I said, well, do I still have it or have I lost it?
vertical. Yep.
Was painting something that came to me in my early years, or do I still have the ability? So I started painting again. Actually, in the back of my mind, it was something I always wanted to get back into because it was such a passion of mine. And within a short while, I got right back into it, like riding a bicycle.
Yep.
And
Was it frustrating when you started because it was you were a little rusty?
yes, it did take a few paintings to get the ball rolling. And of course, you know, there's always the technical aspects of painting, the medium, what kind of medium, how much oil to use.
Well, you must have expanded your knowledge of that because you started using the techniques that these actual artists were using, right?
Yeah, but yet I began to experiment. And in fact, if you look at my work over the last 4 years, I've ventured out in different genres and also use of different mediums, and I'm still in the process of trial and error, and experimenting different techniques to see where I feel most comfortable.
Well, you've been using underpainting, right?
Yes.
And then you also have been experimenting with glazes because that's how the Da Vinci, right, or Michelangelo, the effect of light refracting through all of the layers of the paint and the many layers of color.
Very true. Da Vinci utilized that method quite a bit.
Do you want to talk about this, or should we show another one first?
Well, I just wanted to point out this happens to be one of my favorite paintings that were done recently.
Yes.
Because I believe it incorporates all those techniques that we were talking about, the light and dark.
Yep.
And
the soft edges.
And the soft edges.
Yep.
And
pomegranates and onions.
Yes, and then, but getting back to the sfumato, this just happens to be a portrait, but the thing I think that made Leonardo da Vinci unique in the painting world was his use of layers and glazing that we talked about. So I usually start off with a tone canvas.
Yes.
And with the tone canvas, I begin to take away for the highlights.
Toned, you mean you have like a middle color, like a middle brown or a middle gray or something like that.
Correct. I start off usually with a burnt umber tone.
Okay.
And just a wash over the white canvas.
Yep.
And that gives me a middle range.
And you start taking that away to get the highlights, right?
And then I take away to begin to take away the highlights, particularly in portraiture work. I think it's
turpentine
important
to do that, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And then while the wash is still wet, it's very easy to just wipe
manipulate.
it off,
yes.
manipulate it. And so, yeah. So I try to utilize those techniques. Now, the other thing I will say is, I have ventured in different areas like still lifes, portraiture, landscapes. In the past 4 years with COVID, it was just the perfect opportunity for me to paint because there was nothing much else we could do with our time.
You were stuck in the house and you set up your dining room as a studio.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And so in the past 3 to 4 years, I've produced about 120 paintings.
If you want to show something else, we're really running out of time.
Okay.
So we have time for maybe one more.
And I have this one again that utilizes, I think, those techniques of sfumato and chiaroscuro.
And again, you're very prolific and you're working in lots of different areas. And I want to thank you for coming by and being on the show today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And, keep up the good work.
Oh, it's a passion, and I don't believe I'll ever stop. It becomes like breathing. It's something that for an artist, you need to do.
Like an exercise.
Yes.
And that wraps up another episode of Art Matters. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you for the next episode.